What's up, viewers and listeners? It's Try Again here. This week's guest is known for his crazy freestyle videos and phenomenal editing skills. He's quickly becoming one of the Midwest's fastest growing FPV channels, with some of the craziest gaps, smoothest lines, and funnest videos that I've seen in a while. Welcome to the Land Now podcast, DanZ.
We flying through the internet. We got low battery, but we ain't landing yet. Spider sugar, wanting to try. We interview guests while they rip the sky. Drones, jokes, and special guests. Power loops, raw spins, cash and checks. We doing Rubik's cubes like we riding a bike. This is the Land Now podcast, and I'm dropping the mic.
And we're live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, DanZ.
Hello. I was holding my breath that whole time, and I almost passed out.
It was. Well, I'll have to get a little fancier with how I do things.
I was making a wish. That
so,
DanZ would be on the podcast, and look who it is.
I'm here.
Yeah. How's it going, man?
I'm here. Good. I don't know who you guys were talking about on the intro there, because that dude is way cooler than this dork that you've got on the mic right here.
Dude, no, we pulled that from your PR person. That's what they sent us. So
yeah,
I appreciate that.
I received a package. I received a package in the mail, loosely wrapped in butcher paper, and inside was a flash drive and a note that said, "Play this, or I'll kill you and your whole family. Love, DanZ." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yep. Sounds like my PR person.
I heard about that actually. That's interesting. That's great. Welcome, man. Welcome to the second episode. This is episode number 2. Number 2.
Feel pretty special being number 2. I think it's kind of a step above 1. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, there's a. Yep. It's really awesome to be the first, but everybody always remembers second, right?
Everyone always remembers the second one.
Right.
No, I'm very happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Hell yeah, man. We're excited to have you on.
Thanks.
Yeah, so this is obviously exciting for me because I've met DanZ. I've flown with him before.
Yep.
I'm a huge fan of this guy. If anybody's listening or watching, if you guys haven't checked him out, definitely do so. We didn't get to introductions, but my name's Try Again. I'm joined by Warning FPV and Spider Sugar FPV, and this is the Land Now podcast. We've got some questions. We're gonna get to know DanZ a little bit better, and then before we get straight into it, I'm going to get his videos playing in the background here, and you guys can check out some of his stuff while we talk to him. So, Dan, how long have you been flying these drones?
So summer of 2018, when me and my wifey went on our little baby moon. That was the first time I flew an actual 5-inch drone. My Eachine Wizard X220S.
Yeah, let's go.
Which I still have. It's up there. You can't see it back there, but it's an important piece of gear for me.
What was your first controller?
The Fly Sky one that came with it. What is it? It's like the IX6 or something like that. I don't remember what it was exactly, but it's like a little kind of like rinky-dink, really cheapy, plasticky thing, but did the job.
Did it have like the fake like chrome metal plastic on it?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Check it out.
Off. Yeah.
Look it's just like a cowboy radio. Yeah, look how fancy this is.
Yeah, and then I got a QX7 not too long after that. I think after I had the 220. I probably flew that for like 2 months before I was like, all right, I'm going to build my first rig.
My QX7 was my first fancy radio, and I broke off every fucking thingy, the little switchy guys, within like a month. They just you like look at it wrong and be like, punk, there it goes.
My first radio was the Radiolink AT9S, and I still have it and use it for my planes. And I got no love for that radio. Everybody was just like, Radiolink, what the crap is that? And then I remember Rotor Riot did a video where they pitted it up against Crossfire, and it won. And I was like, guys, and they were like, we don't care.
I remember that one. That was the one where they were just like flying straight down the road.
Yeah, like straight as far as they could go.
Over the grass.
I was like, I messaged everybody, and I was like, did you see this? Radiolink is the best, and they were like, I'm still not getting one. And everybody I knew had a QX7 at that point. Like that was the radio of choice.
And you know what? They were right not to get one.
Yeah, they were right. They were right.
Link radio.
They were right.
Did you?
Yeah.
I will say,
it came in one of my first bind and flies that I bought. It was like from Eris.
I will say it's not a piece of junk. I mean, it does well. I've got a long range FPV plane, and I've gone out miles with it. So, hey, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, so, if it works, it works.
They still use Radiolink to this day at Radiolink. I'm sure. I wouldn't be doubted.
They use Radiolink.
If you go down to your local Radio Shack, they have the whole Radiolink section. You know.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty exclusive though. I don't know if it's in any of the where you probably live. You know.
So, Mr. DanZ, how did you get into drones exactly? Did you have like a background in like RC or anything like that beforehand, or?
Nope, no background in RC. So. It's a pretty typical story. I got a Mavic. I don't even remember what made me want to get a Mavic. But I got it. I flew it around, and it was like, it's pretty fun. And during the, whole phase of YouTubing different settings and whatever for the Mavic, I came across a Mr. Steele video. And the moment I saw that, it was game over. Like I knew I had to I had to get one, because I for half my life at that point I was riding BMX. Okay. So I was living
Let's go.
I was living at the skate park or at the trails.
Dude, to this day I'm still dealing with broken ribs on this side of my body from riding BMX. Are you still dealing with that issue? Because I literally got punched awake this morning, like, oh god.
Luckily I didn't have any super major crashes, but I did break some ribs. Yeah. Which those suck. And then in 2016, I did have a crash that hurt my back, my lower back. I just coming out of the bowl at the skate park, I was doing this 180 bar spin thing, and my pants got stuck on the seat, and it just sent me backwards. I landed on my tailbone, and it hurt, and it was pretty tender for a little while. And then maybe a year or two later, I was helping my buddies. We spent the whole day building ramps. They had this awesome warehouse space out in the west side of Chicago. Whole day building ramps, and then we're finishing up, cleaning up, and I see one tiny piece of scrap wood on the ground. I bend down to pick it up, and then the moment I straighten my back out, it's just I just felt and my back was in so much pain. I was laid out in the hospital for 3 days.
Damn, dude.
Wow. It was terrible. It was terrible. I remember getting home, and I was like, okay, maybe if I lay on the ground and just lay straight, it'll help my back feel better. And then when my wife finally got home and we decided to go to the hospital, to go probably 40, 50 feet to the car was probably a 40-minute adventure. No. To get my ass up off the ground and hobble over to the car. It was brutal. So yeah, it was kind of like after that happened, I would try to hop on my BMX bike again, and it would be like half an hour worth of riding, and then my back would just start kind of like tightening up and not feeling great. And so I saw this Mr. Steel thing, and it just spoke to me instantly. And it was
So,
like, okay, I can kind of take that same bit of like creativity in what you do with tricks and going to spots and looking at the world in a certain way that I had in BMX, and then like plug that into FPV. And yeah, that's been the story now. So
Do
that's
you,
like six
hell
years.
yeah.
do you remember
Sick.
the exact video it was? And then after that, I kind of want to hear from the rest of us, like what our first videos were, because we haven't covered that yet. But what was
Yeah,
do you remember which one it was specifically, or just one
I
of him
it
ripping around?
I I can't say with 100% certainty, but I think it might have been the like this is why you should fly 800
Through
milliwatts
the bando?
one.
Yeah, yeah.
The Germany, yeah, the Germany bando.
That's a great
Um,
video.
yeah, and you know what? That wasn't necessarily my first time seeing FPV, because I remember prior to that seeing the video of the guys like racing around through the trees in France or whatever it was. Like that was like, I know a lot of people
Boris
got
B,
started
I
on
think,
that.
was it? Or Metal Danny?
Maybe
I think it
yeah,
was
I
Metal
don't know,
Danny is what you're thinking of, Metal Danny.
but like I remember seeing that, and they were just kind of like flying through the woods, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But then I
Like
saw
speeder bikes.
Steel. I saw Steel like diving gaps and doing flips and rolls and all this stuff, and I was like, oh, that is way sick.
My first video was not
Yeah.
as glamorous. The first FPV video I ever saw, I was looking for drone footage tips because I was planning on buying a Phantom, and
Oh,
so I was like trying to figure out because I wanted to start vlogging, but I did. It wasn't like FPV or drone vlogs. I just wanted to just start vlogging, and so I was looking up like a good
Wait,
drone to
about
get.
what though?
I didn't
What are you
know
trying to?
yet. I didn't know yet. At the time, I was still doing music and DJing, so I wanted to maybe tie that in, but I wasn't sure.
Want to do a DJ vlog?
No, but
Today, I found this sick 808, the bass drum sequencer at McDonald's parking lot. Let's go.
I wanted to put up tutorials for Ableton Live, and I don't really want to get that deep into it. But I was looking
Oh
for
no,
a drone.
let's dig deeper.
Well, I don't know. I wanted to just kind of go over like some music production stuff and then record like traveling to shows and what that was like. But anyways, long story short, I was looking for drone videos on YouTube and I found Bot Grinder reviewing the Immersion RC Mojo 230 in a graveyard, and it was not a great. It's not like a super impressive video, but I thought the drone looked cool, and I thought the flying looked cool, and so I just started looking up more FPV stuff, and I found Rotor Riot, and I found Sharpoo's video and all of that, and I was like, oh, this is sick. And so I went and got a simulator and started goofing on that and making videos in the simulator instead of my original plan, which was to do something else entirely. So yeah, I mean that's
Dude,
kind of how I got into it.
I didn't even see a video. My buddy was like, "Hey, dude, you know they like race these drone things with like goggles." I'm like, What the fuck is that? That sounds stupid. Who the fuck does that?" Like, I'm like, "That sounds fake, dude. That's not real." And he's like, "No, no, no, check it out." And I think he showed me like the DRL shit with like racing, and I was like, that looks cool, I guess, like whatever." And then fast forward a couple months, like, I was bored one night and I was like searching around. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that drone thing. Like, wonder how much did it cost to get into that? And then I fucking bought that Eris bind and fly with the radio, and I got a pair of Fat Shark, the green and black ones. I forget what they're called.
Teleporters.
Oh, those
Attitude,
attitudes.
Oh,
attitude.
attitudes. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right.
And then I I got the bind and fly, and I didn't see any people. I didn't even know people made videos about drones. I just thought it was cool as fuck. So like, I was waiting to save up some money to buy the goggles, and I like got the drone all like bound up on the radio and I like flew it in my basement and like literally almost killed myself like within the first 15 minutes. Like I was hovering it, I lost control, and I literally like if I didn't like duck quick enough, it was gonna like fuck like straight into my neck, like just like
What
5 inch drone in my basement. And I was like, maybe I should look up some stuff about this. And then that's when I found out that there was like FPV freestyle and stuff, and like Joshua Bardwell and all that shit existed. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, you can build these? Cool, crazy.
It almost ended before it even began.
Yeah.
Right.
Warning, what was your first freestyle video?
Um, so like naturally, I came from the world of RC, and so I was
Okay.
already. So I got into RC stuff when I was like 7 or 9 years old, and so I raced a nitro gas truck for a little bit, and then
Oh yeah.
eventually, yeah, and then eventually I just went down the rabbit hole. But I stumbled upon Mr. Steele's videos, and then I was like, dude, that's freaking sick. And then I
Dude,
was
What?
watching all the DRL stuff too, and then I'm like, okay, I just
dude,
got to do
for,
it.
for a second, it sounded like you said, I raised from a young age. I raised nitro RC trucks up from a baby to
To what it
not
is now.
not raced, but like raised. Like I raised RC cars up. You know, some of them are very well functioning members of society today, as we speak.
I don't know about nitro engines. I wouldn't consider them a part of the society anymore.
I remember in
Nitro's like
high
lost art.
school. In high school, my buddy got a nitro RC car,
Yep.
and that thing, I think he got that thing running maybe once, and then we just played with the nitro fuel, like
Start
pouring
lighting it
little
on fire.
puddles and lighting it on fire, pouring it on our hands and lighting it on fire, and
Yeah.
like, yeah,
That's
yeah, like,
classic.
oh, the flame is white, sick.
That's so crazy.
In middle
Yeah.
school, I remember like making videos and stuff of like RC cars in our tech ed class because we had to learn how to edit videos and stuff like that. I'm like, hey, I got an idea. And so my friend and I started just ripping our nitro trucks around, and it was so much fun.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's how I got into it, just background in RC, and I kept slowly gravitated towards the more cool side, I would say.
That's sick. What? So DanZ, what?
Yeah.
Back to DanZ. This is the DanZ episode. What? What? Like, what's the craziest like FPV story you have? Like trip to the spot to go fly. Like for example, one time I went to a bando and there was home bums with crossbows and throwing rocks at us. What
So-
kind of what like story, like what's your craziest FPV story?
So I do have one bum story. It's not all that exciting, but we went to this bando in Gary, Indiana. It's like an old
The
train
church?
station.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't the church. It's called Union Station. It's an old train station. It's really minimal but super super fun. But anyway, I went there with F Corps, and we rolled up to the spot and we were just kind of like checking things out, and I walked downstairs into the building, and then I saw that there was a homeless guy sleeping under there, and I was like, "Oh, whoops, sorry, my bad, dude." And I backpedaled. I walked back up the stairs, and then this homeless dude came up with like this big board that had nails in it. And
Whoa.
I was like, oh damn, is this about to go down? And then he spotted that it was me and another person, and he just started slamming the board on the ground. He never made any noise. Like, he didn't scream. His face was like void of any emotion. It was just blank.
He's a
But he was
day
just-
walker. He's a day
He's a
walker.
was
day
just
walker.
Daywalker.
He was just like slamming the thing on the ground, and F Core and I looked at each other and we're like, yeah, let's just go to this next bando that's like right around the corner here, you know? Because I felt bad. It's like,
Yeah.
that dude doesn't
Well,
have
yeah, of
anywhere
course.
to go.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna mess with him. Like, he's just trying to sleep, whatever. So we just went to one of the next bandos, but kind of like one of the more crazy experiences I had happened recently. back in August, I was lucky enough to go on a trip with the Vanny Style guys, and Pete FX and Vanover took us to this bridge spot. It's called the High Steel Bridge in Washington, and I had no idea what to expect. And we get out there, and it's this super old bridge that sits something like 400 feet above like little.
399 feet if you're watching FAA.
Well, but then I can fly 400 feet above the bridge.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there you go.
Cop.
Yeah, try again's the police. Yeah, it's just this old bridge that is like in a pretty remote area. Not too many people were coming through except for like logging trucks. And every time these logging trucks would come through, the whole bridge would just bounce up and down. You could just feel it.
That's terrifying.
And the railings were like at waist level, you know what I mean? And 400 feet, the incline on both sides was super steep, like 45 degrees, maybe even more in some places. So if the quad went down, there was no getting it back. And getting to fly that was a different type of terrifying experience because you were like, all right, I cannot, there is no such thing as crashing because the quad is just gone. Like supposedly at this spot, people go there to, end things. And when that happens,
I thought you were going to say base jump. Good lord.
No.
They
go
technically
there.
they are base jumping.
They are base jumping, just without the chute.
Or free jumping.
They're free jumping, and apparently, like whenever this happens, they need to assemble a team of people to go down and retrieve it, and so the remains will stay there for at 4 days, something like that.
So you had a
That's
chance. You had a chance to make a Logan Paul video, and you didn't. And for that, we applaud you.
Did not bite. I did not bite. I did fight Mike Tyson though.
You did fight
like his brother. I did fight Mike Tyson. No.
So
that's impressive.
So I want to backpedal a bit. So when you told me, or you told us your first drone and kind of what that was like, did you do any like simming before then, or did you just buy a drone and say, yeah, this seems like something I could do? Did you have any kind of RC flight experience before then? Zero
experience with any sort of drone thing aside from the Mavic. And I did get a simulator. I got liftoff, but I think I only logged probably like 10 or 20 hours in it, maybe.
So you just always been good.
Before I flew. No, definitely not. Definitely not. Yeah, but I didn't have that much. I've definitely flown more in real life than I have on the sim. Like to this day, I don't really enjoy the sim very much.
I'm kind of the same. I don't do too much. I don't do too much simming. I usually will just, and I'll go like months without flying. I think when I met you in Milwaukee, like I hadn't flown in over a year, and I didn't do any practicing in the simulator or anything to warm up. I just showed up with my box and was like, let's go. So
all my sims keep dying. Like I can't. They just don't want to stay alive. I can't figure it out.
Well, you got to put a ladder in the pool. You got to put a ladder in the pool.
No, that kills them. That kills them.
So your first quad was the Wizard, the 220.
Yeah.
What's your go-to gear now? Like if what's the?
Go
ahead and plug your sponsors.
Yeah.
Let us know what's going
on.
on.
Out?
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna plug the sponsors right now, and I'm actually gonna give them a big thank you because they are some really fantastic sponsors. So for the frame, I'm running the Vanny Style Pro.
That's an okay frame.
I'm very fortunate in that I wasn't really part of the design process per se, but I was testing it and providing feedback and kind of, part of the team that was kind of suggesting things for the final run of the frame.
It's an amazing frame.
And it's an awesome frame. I truly do love it. And then I will have a bias for it because I poured a little bit of my own love into it. You know what I mean? For motors, VCI Hobby, the VCI Titans, the 2306, 1850 kV motors are my go-to. Gem fan props. As far as electronics go, besides like my DJI VTXs, everything changes. It's whatever. I don't have like, I don't have one particular like ESC or flight controller or whatever I consistently go to. I would say out of anything, it would probably be like the T-Motor ESCs are something that I tend to gravitate towards. And they don't make them anymore, but if they still did, I would have a flight controller of choice, and that would be the old, the Heli Nation Talon F7 Fusions. I miss those things. It's just like an old, like a smaller 20x20.
And he will pay.
Gyro.
He will pay top dollar.
Dual gyro.
If you've got them laying around.
Highest bidder.
Yeah, dual gyro. Had like the pit switch built in. It was a great flight controller. But then Heli Nation just kind of went dark one day, and that's that.
As far as electronics go, I always try to get like what has just like not like fucked me over in the past, and that's always been T-Motor, except for the fucking 20x20. The micro stack, that thing sucks. Fuck that thing.
Yeah.
Don't buy that thing. I don't know what T-Motor did to that, but they took a big magic fuck you shit on it because it sucks. But the 30x31 is fine. I don't understand why.
I would like to also just take a quick moment to plug and thank Wrecked, the FPV shop out of Ohio there. Joshua Roundtree runs it. Great dude. Really, I love that shop, and they've supported me, which I'm very thankful for. And they're definitely a great choice that's out there.
That's right. You can use code TRYAGAIN at rect.com for 0% off your order.
Or you can use
discounts on cigarettes. If you get on there's discounts on cigarettes.
You can use discount code DanZ on Rect for 10% off.
There you go.
Save it for a big order. Because you only get
Black
one.
Friday.
So speaking of sponsors, you've been at this for 6 years. What was that? Was that a goal when you started? I'm sure it developed over time of knowing I want to get good and be one of the pros or be considered a pro. Was that ever in your game plan, or did it kind of just happen? And what's your advice to maybe like a newer pilot, someone listening that maybe does have that goal? What's your kind of word of wisdom for them?
For me, it was never anything I was really seeking out. I mean, always I was like, well, that would be cool if it happened, but it was never something I was gunning for, because I've always kind of felt like the whole thing about it is just kind of competing with myself and making myself better and having fun doing it. And plus, this is like a hobby, something that I'm doing outside of my regular day-to-day life to kind of help me break away from that and have a release, But there's multiple ways to sponsorships, and I think the way that it kind of worked out for me was more so kind of having some sort of involvement in the FPV community. So I used to do this live stream called Super Critical, which I'm sure some of you remember. I think, Spider, you had a video or two on that stream.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and, it was me and my buddy Franco, and we just loved freestyle FPV so much, and he came at me with this idea to like, hey, let's try to do a live stream where we are helping freestyle pilots improve upon their flights, And then in turn, also kind of selfishly, like the more you look at and analyze, the more you learn yourself, and the more you just nerd out about it, the more
So
you take
you're
away.
stealing people's tricks, is what I see now. I
The
see the
secret's
whole
out.
Borrowing.
The
The
secret is
secret's
out.
out. The secret's out. I
That's
did
why it got
not
shut down. There was
invent.
a lawsuit.
I did not
There's a
invent the Matty
lawsuit.
Flip or Trippy Spin.
Yeah, when are we
No, I
gonna
did
get?
not
When are
come up
we
with that.
gonna? When is the DanZ roll getting released? I wanna learn
It's
about
still
that
in
one.
development. It's still in the very early stages.
It's an early
But
access.
anyway, it was just kind of like some sort of involvement in the FPV community, and through that, GemFan reached out and we're like, "Hey, we really dig on this. We like what you're doing. Would you be interested in a sponsorship?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll take free props. I go through that stuff all the time."
Yeah.
So, and I
Right.
was already flying GemFan props anyway at that point.
I
And then-
gotta give some love to Jim Fan. They've been with me for 5 years, and they're an awesome company. And even when I
Yeah.
took
Thanks, Jim Fan.
even when I took
We love you.
even when I took a year off and didn't make any videos, at the time, Molly, who was my rep with Jim Fan, she emailed me and was like, "Hey, are you okay? Like, what's going on? I haven't seen any videos from you." And I kind of told her what was going on in my life, and she said, "When you come back, just let us know." And
Let us
you're
know.
you're still with us. Like we're, a lot of other companies would have just dropped me, or
Sure.
juice wasn't worth the squeeze. So I mean, that's just speaks to them as a company, at least how they've worked with me personally. I think
Yeah.
they're a great company.
Super
So
cool.
They're
And,
they're awesome. They're really
Yeah.
fucking awesome.
And then after that, so that was like the first kind of like little thing. And then after that, for me, it was really going to events and getting to meet people, like, so I went to IO, and then I got to meet Mike Duran, who's like the rep for GemFan, and we hit it off, and so that kind of like solidified that relationship. And then I went to Rampage, and Vanover had this trick challenge to power loop through this like tire that was hanging off a crane. And I got to shout out Phantom FPV, because he did. Me and him were like just chasing it side by side, pack after pack. He hit it first, and after he hit it, I was like, "Ah, shit." And he was like, he landed his quad. I was packing my stuff up, and he was like, "Ah, damn it, my Action 2 wasn't recording anymore."
Yeah.
No.
Redemption.
And I was like, "Oh." And then so I asked him, I'm like, at least I think I did. I can't remember anymore. But at that point, I was like, all right, well, he didn't get it. And it's the first one to get the footage. So then I went up, and then I got it like very shortly afterwards.
Nice.
And so through that, like Vanover saw that I did the trick. And then I went to West Coast Throwdown shortly after that. And Vanover was there again. So it was just kind of like another like opportunity to make myself indelible to him. You know what I mean? Just we got to hang out, fly the FPV park. We spent a few days at the FPV park together, just flying, hanging out, and whatever. And then yeah, I mean that was my route. It's kind of like, it seems like you can be like an incredible pilot, and you have to be like truly incredible, you know what I mean, to get noticed and to get sponsorships off that, or you get an opportunity to meet the people of these companies, and they get a sense of who you are and what you do, and they look at kind of your
be a stand-up
involvement.
guy, basically.
Yeah, like
They look
people
how much,
do look
how
at
much,
that.
like how
Yes.
much meth you can sell in a month. They look
Yeah,
at that
yeah.
number. Like, can you move? You can move that. So we might be interested.
I think what some people don't really realize, though, is that there are, especially some of these bigger companies, they really are looking at the people that are good representatives for the FPV hobby, not someone that's like super toxic out there, and whatever. And then they're also looking to see if you're involved in the FPV community in some way, and if you truly love it.
Totally.
And so that's the route that I took. I remember Patrick Watkins. He did a video about getting sponsored, and I thought he was pretty spot on. And
Yeah.
that was actually one of his points.
Evan Turner did a really good one too. Heads up, he did one talking about what he looks for when he sponsors people. For when 533 reaches out, and so he said, he said, the number one thing is like, and I think a lot of people, I see this a lot. I get comments too. They're like, how am I sponsored? Because I'm not a super insane pilot. And I don't really like win any championships or anything like that. So they're like, they think it's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, you got to understand that I've been in this game making videos for a long time, and I've met a lot of people, and like, you've got to be in front of the camera, letting people know kind of who you are. Like, are you someone that people trust when they watch your videos? If you say that, hey, this is what I like, are they going to trust what you say is what you really mean? Or, what value are you bringing to them? Like, a lot of guys are like, how can I get sponsorships? And it's like, I can tell right off the bat that they've got like cha-chings in their eyes, and they're not really thinking like, this is a working relationship, man. Like, you have to, it's kind of a job. Like, it's not, maybe you're not getting a paycheck, but you're going to work for that, that box every month. So
I think there's also a lot of people who think that, like, because all the fucking, like, you always get all these like ding dongs that are like, you can make, like, every person that doesn't really like know a whole lot about drones, they see you flying it, like a friend or a cousin or whoever, they're like, oh, you can make a lot of money with those drones. It's always like, you can do real estate or shit like that. There's also this misconception that like there's all this money to be made just like doing like freestyle and shit, and like that might be true if you're like making products or selling them or something, but like I think if you're not doing it because you love it or like trying to grow the community and like grow it more, like I think there's a big disconnect with some people that is just gonna always like hold you back. It doesn't matter how good a pilot you are. Like, if you're an asshole, like, fuck you, get wrecked.
That's the big reason.
Eventually that shows too.
That's the big reason I never got into real estate. Real estate is because I know I'm not going to be able to hold back the temptation to Rubik's Cube in someone's living room. So I'm just gonna have to. I gotta know. And there's even been moments where I'm like, I'm just gonna cruise this drone. I'm not gonna do anything dumb. I don't want to break it. And then 2 minutes in, I'm like, what? Like, I can't help it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna move us along a little bit because we are about at the halfway, a little bit past the halfway point. Dan, who is your all-time favorite pilot? And who is a pilot to watch, like a underground, someone you want to promote that you think
who is an underrated pilot?
Well, underrated, underground. Who's someone you want people's eyes on?
Underrated, I would have to say, is Vizzy, who's actually one of my Vanny style teammates, but he doesn't post much. You know what I mean? He's not super active when it comes to sharing his content, but that dude kills it. He's super good.
That's V-I-Z-Y. That's V-I-Z-Y, right?
V-I-Z-Z-I-Y.
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 Right.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay,
Vizzy is seriously good.
Is he from the States or?
He's He's over in Oregon. He's part of the Oregon crew over there.
Okay.
So he flies with like PWX and ATEC and over at the FPV park a bunch. He is underrated for sure. I'd also throw people like F-Core. F-Core, super good. I think
we're gonna have him on next week. So
he's fairly well known, but he's an absolutely incredible pilot. And then Uptime, also known as Ari, that's what I know him as. Super young kid, incredibly dialed. He's the racer slash freestyle dude that is just locked in and super talented. And he's
Hell yeah.
young and super smart. And it's just kind of like, oh, dude, when I was your age, I was such a little shit. And you are so much more put together than I am.
but like, how much meth has he sold already is what I'm wondering.
He sells a surprisingly large amount of meth. I think
that's what I look for in every
when
pilot.
you look at the leaderboards, Ari is number 2 or 3 on there.
Wow.
Right next to Vanover.
Crazy.
Vanover, he sells.
Well, I know he's the biggest mover. We all know that.
He's the biggest mover of methamphetamines in the greater Northern American market.
Oh.
And then who's your...
If you're watching this podcast for the first time, this is a joke. That is a joke.
It's a joke.
Right.
Vanover does not sell methamphetamines.
Vanover does not.
Some guy's gonna be on Amazon later, about to order his first drone, and be like, "I also need to get meth selling supplies, I guess."
Yeah.
So, who's your like all-time favorite pilot? I mean, who's your Michael Jordan, your Muhammad Ali? I know that's a hard one. I know that's a hard one, and you could say yourself because I mean that's
who's your Wayne Gretzky? Who's your Wayne?
My Wayne Gretzky. All right, so this might be a bit of a controversial one for some people, but Le
Oh, really?
Le
Wow.
He was, because I saw Steel, and I was like, that's really cool, but it's not I don't ever really want to fly like Steel. You know what I mean? I think he's super good, and I enjoy watching his stuff.
Drones in holes.
Yeah, but then like seeing Le Drib's style of being like very smooth and technical, and then also just hitting lots of gaps and things like that had me super psyched. You know, and we're talking circa 2018 to 2020.
Yeah, I mean he hasn't dropped a video in a while. He's been dropping other stuff, but.
He's been dropping bombs. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was gonna leave that open to interpretation, but all right.
What? Sorry, I can't help it. It's the ADHD. Hello, Spider Sugar here in the editing booth. I apologize. We had some technical difficulties, and the show starts again right now. Try again. Just shat all over the floor. We had. To
I did. Yeah, that's fine. My Roomba's spreading it around right now.
It was bad. It was really bad. You should have heard it. We had to cut it out. It was like too vulgar to put on the internet.
We're gonna cut this out too, probably.
And then just times that by like 6.
Oh, we're gonna cut this out too.
So
chats.
Getting back to kind of lost the plot a bit here. What's the favorite video that you've ever made, and what's like the best video you've ever seen? Your favorite video, something that maybe you watch semi-regularly, you keep coming back to.
So I've said this about my favorite video of all time, which is actually from a French pilot called DanZ. It's called Kill the Spot, and he was the type of pilot that flew bandos, but with like a slightly more racer style, just ripping super fast and hitting insane gaps and things like that at speed. Like, granted, by today's standards, it's possibly not as impressive, but I still watch that video today and get kind of psyched. It kind of reminds me of when I first started and how excited I was to see something like that. DanZ, Kill the Spot. Now he's done that whole thing where he's like a drone pilot that shoots stuff for Red Bull and whatever, and now he does that for work and hardly ever flies freestyle.
Huh.
Probably doesn't have time. He's like, this is just as fun as freestyle.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the reasons why I got my Part 107, and then I was just like, for one, I already had a day job that I really love, but for two, I was just like, I don't want to turn my hobby into work. Yeah. So I got the 107, and then I was just like, I'm not gonna pursue this.
I did that same thing in the past as like my first like real career path. Like was doing like illustrations and stuff, and I went to school and got like graphic design degree, and then I like started doing graphic design work like for a living, and it almost killed art for me. Like I still to this day I don't get no joy out of making. Well, sometimes I do. Sometimes I get like a little idea, like make a design, but like you can't if things you love you start doing them to like make money off of it, like kills all the passion for it. You know what I mean?
So I work as an editor, like for a living. I work in advertising, a lot of television commercials and things like that. And actually, one of the reasons I really love FPV and doing videos is like it gives me some sort of creative outlet to make the type of thing that I want to make that I don't necessarily always get to do at my job. You know, I can put at work, I can put my best foot forward, but sometimes what's potentially best for the project is outside of what I might do, type of thing.
And then one day,
want to do.
One day, a pharmaceutical company is going to hit you up and be like, "Hey, we need a minute and a half commercial of just freestyle rippage," and you're like, "What?" It's just a minute and a half of you ripping balls on your quad, and then at the end, it's just like Viagra. Rip hard, Viagra.
If any pharmaceutical rep out there is listening right now, and you're looking for an editor for some reason, come to me. I'll take that pharma money quick.
Hell yeah.
We're getting kind of into like the others, so the dark side of DanZ. What was your thing? You talked about BMX a bit. What was your thing before FPV? Did you have any serious hobbies before FPV other than video
BMX.
editing or BMX?
Yeah, BMX was like literally my entire life. Outside of working towards my career, but like prior to that, it was like BMX, dude. I was on my bike pretty much. If I wasn't in school, I was on the bike, ripping around, I went to college in the city, and it was just riding street until 2-3 in the morning with buddies, or going to the skate park, hanging out all day, or digging at the trails all day. That was a very big part of my life.
So what are your thoughts on scooter kids?
I say fuck yeah. I'm not mad at scooter kids. I know a lot of yeah, dude, it's like we're doing the same thing but on a different medium. I would say 90% of BMX dudes absolutely hate scooter kids, and I never saw it understand it.
Stop getting in my way.
I've seen I've seen scooter kids do stuff you can't do. Like, I mean, only like crazy pros can do on BMX bikes.
Yeah.
The first time I saw a 12-year-old flare a scooter, I was like, this is ridiculous.
From a skate, because like I did BMX when I was younger, and then I got into skating. But from a skateboarding perspective, I legitimately got damage in my left knee because of a kid on a scooter that his parents just like dumped him off there, and I fucking came over this hip, this fucking big ass melon. It came down and boom, and I thought I killed the kid. That was my first concern. Holy fuck, I just killed this kid. And then my second concern was, holy fuck, my knee hurts really bad and I can't stand up anymore. Like shattered part of my kneecap and all this fuck shit. Like,
yeah, but that's like they get a bad rep. It could have been a kid that was dropped off on rollerblades or on a bike or on a skateboard.
That was my next point. It's like there's always going to be a surrogate.
Yeah.
Who's the current scapegoat?
Yeah, it's kids getting dropped off at the skate park with no etiquette.
So are
and,
you
in anything, anybody, like someone shows up to the fly spot and doesn't have good etiquette, like it's gonna suck. It's gonna ruin things for people.
Yeah.
Same thing at the skate park or bike park or whatever you want to call it.
So are you pegs one side, pegs both side, or no pegs?
I was no pegs.
Okay.
I dabbled with pegs, but I just didn't enjoy grinding very much. My thing, I was never particularly good at BMX. The only thing I ever wanted to do was catch air. Like I was just like, let's go to the jumps. Like, let's get the jumps.
Oh,
Yeah, get the
yeah.
hang time. Like, that was my biggest joy.
And
you
now
know?
and now you like
yeah.
you're catching all the air.
I'm in the air for 2-3 minutes at a time.
So what's your favorite this is a fun one. What's your favorite trick? And then
This is
we
a fun
have
one.
and then we're starting a tradition. Want you
Okay.
to name the next FPV trick. So new FPV tricks come out every so often. They've always got a
Yeah.
funky name. You're gonna name the next FPV trick. You can describe what it is if you want to, or you can just say what you think it's gonna be called. And then of course, what's your favorite trick?
Ooh, okay. Favorite trick. My favorite trick is, you know what? There's nothing more satisfying than hitting a good solid gap. A power loop gap is like something that I really, really enjoy. So
Tell
that
us
would
about
be
a
my
recent
favorite.
power loop gap that you did.
I might have had one
Yeah.
recently.
Was
I might
it?
have had one recently.
I think I saw footage of somewhere of this insane power loop gap. Maybe you want to explain to us what you did because it was insane, dude. Fuck you. That was so crazy.
We showed up at a new fly spot, which rarely happens nowadays, and there was a light post that just had this tiny little gap that the quad could barely fit through. Like literally, if you tried to fly straight through it, um, it's really hard to fly through and not like hit
Yeah,
it on the
not
way
ding
through.
off of the top of the bottom.
Yeah,
And that was
yeah,
a
yeah,
5-inch
yeah.
quad too. It wasn't anything
Five
smaller
inch.
than that.
No, it was
Wow.
5-inch.
That's insane.
Yeah, and I sent it. It took me 2 sessions to finally get it clean, but I would say I had, as far as like attempts where I was in like the correct area,
hmm
probably somewhere around
Like
30
you were
attempts.
like that you were lined up for
And,
it. That
dude, that's
you
way
could have
more than I
committed
thought.
or
Holy
yeah.
shit.
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
broke a couple
It's
cameras,
FPV's
too.
alive. I broke 2 Action 2s on it. Yeah.
Damn. But it was worth it
yeah.
though, because that's epic. That's
It
like,
was
That
sick.
is a
that's
sick
like one of the
fuck,
most
dude.
epic power loops I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I agree.
So I made, so I didn't put it. I kind of wish I put it in the video, like the full length video I put on YouTube or whatever. But I made a short with it, and I wanted to make sure that I showed like a bunch of attempts to let kind of people to drop the illusion that like I'm so good, I nailed this first try type of thing. Like
Hey, I
a
did a
lot
whole
of
video on that
people
recently.
a lot of people think like, you know, it's like, oh, these pilots are so amazing, they hit it first try. And some pilots, maybe they are truly that amazing, but a lot of
Yeah.
us out here, you know, we might session something to get it just right. Here's what happens to me. What happens to me all the time, and this is why at the end of my full length video you see me kind of celebrating, is I'll get the line that I really want on like the first or second try, and without fail, the camera doesn't record it for one
No.
reason or another.
Hmm.
It happens to, and then I have to spend like a bunch of packs afterwards, like chasing it and then trying to get it perfect and just eating shit for a while.
I mean, you fooled me. I mean, I thought you nailed it on first try. Honestly. I was
I
just
saw-
like, wow.
I saw
Fucking
that.
Dave.
I saw that short you put out. Was it
Yeah.
a reel or whatever on Instagram? I saw that and I was like, dude, no way. I saw you hitting it, bang, 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 and I was like, oh, well, at least you tried. And then and I was like, fuck you, dude. I want to go. I want to go find a spot like this. I was like, if I had the opportunity, like. I was like ready to go out my door and like go find something similar because I want to try that
Yeah.
so bad.
That one felt good. That one was one of those tricks where it takes skill to put you in the right place, and it took a little bit of luck to get through super clean.
I
You know what
will.
I mean?
I will say
Definitely.
this. I will say this. The only time I ever hit something that crazy was at the International Open in 2019. I took a bunch of the then cast of Rotor Riot, and we went and flew a couple places in Muncie, Indiana. And I called it the piggy bank, and I hit a dive gap that was just the width of the drone. And I did it first try.
Nice.
I was live streaming on YouTube, someone was live streaming like a FPV screen, and I did it
Nice.
first try, and I was so hyped. And I tried to do it 2 other times because when I went through, you could physically see me like tapping it on the way through, and I wanted to get it clean, but it was literally, I mean, I held my quad up to it, and I mean, we were talking 1/8 of an inch on either side of my quad. It was so tight.
Yeah.
Two 2x4s that were sandwiched together with a gap in the middle. And I tried for the rest of the weekend to get it clean, and I could not do it. I was so mad that I got it on the first try, but it wasn't clean.
Dude, a lot of the times, like, it's funny you mentioned, like, the first 1 or 2 packs you nail the line that you want to do. Like, that shit happens with me all the time. I'm like, I do like this little fucking thing, like, okay, sick, I nailed that, but I want to like add on to it or make it better, and then I can never fucking get it. Well, I mean, sometimes I do, but like never the same. There's something about coming up fresh, like fresh, and you're just like.
Well, I think it has more to do with overthinking it.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you start chasing it, you're hyper focused on it, and then for me personally, I remember it was always like this with BMX too. It was like whenever I was like really wanting a trick and trying it, it would take me so many tries. And then like if I was just doing something and then in the flow of it, and I would just like, I could just hit it without thinking about it and be like, holy shit. And it's the same with FPV. Like the one where I went through, I was flying a pack, and I had kind of given up on the idea of hitting that gap. And I was just like, I was having a pretty good pack, and I was like, all right, like, let's just go for it on this one and see if I can make it through. And then I got through on like the second attempt or something. Wow. Yeah.
Great. A round of applause for DanZ. A round of applause.
But don't forget. Don't forget you've got to name the next FPV trick. What's the next FPV trick that's going to call it?
The next FPV trick. Can I claim something that we should be calling a current trick?
This is freestyle. Anything you can you can just yell out a random word, or you can tell us a trick that you're doing that doesn't have a name.
Wish people referred to doing wall rides where you spin counter to your direction of travel as alley-oops.
Because that's a BMX term. That's a BMX term.
That's a skate term, whatever. It's just kind of like, to me, that's one of the best that was one of my favorite feelings on a BMX bike. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of like shooting off a ramp and catching a little bit of that backwards travel and then spotting your landing and coming in.
I was at my weekly Tiny Whoop race. And I'm like, I'm trying to do this trick, and he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm gonna come through here and then I'm gonna come out fakie. And he's like, what does that mean? And I'm like, oh. And I'm like, it means I'm gonna be flying backwards. And he's like, oh, well, just say that then. And I'm like, ah.
Fakie. No, I caught that.
But that's a term I'll say a lot. It's like, and I'll be thinking it. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna I'm gonna come out fakie, and then I'm gonna do like a juicy flick revert. And I'm like, if I say that, no one's gonna know what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah. So alley oop, we're calling it right
now. All right, right now. It's documented. It's on the internet.
Anybody that doesn't call that maneuver by an alley oop from here on out is a fraud poser, scumbag,
mall grabbing.
Piece of shit.
Will be
Fuck you, I hate them.
Strongly worded letter.
What is a mall grab on a quad? Would this be considered a mall grab right here?
A mall grab?
Mall grab? We don't know what mall grabs are. I thought you were a skater. No. You don't know what mall grabbing is?
Oh, holding the board by the trucks and not by the 2 fingers with the. Yeah, I don't think there's a mall grab with the quad.
Okay, well, that was a dumb joke. Anyways, on to the next one.
Everyone's like,
it's all right. It's all right.
Yeah.
So you've been at this 6 years. You've progressed. You've gotten to a point where you have sponsors. You've gotten your Part 107. You're kind of deciding what you want to do with it. So this is a perfect question for that. Where do you see yourself in FPV? In the future, what's your goals from here? Is there anything in particular you want to achieve other than just getting cool footage? Do you want to move into the production space side of things? Do you want to just be better and just that's it? Be still having fun? Like, what are your goals? I mean, obviously,
You
everyone
can't
wants
say
to
that.
still
His
be having
shirt
fun.
says
But
no
Yeah,
fun
I
there.
don't know.
To piggyback off of that,
Yeah.
because he already talked about not wanting to fly for like commercial or shit. Like,
Yeah.
where do you see yourself like in the future, and what is your dream spot to fly? Because I feel like that ties directly together.
Um, in the future, I don't know. Like, I'm just trying to hold on to the joy of FPV. I like I don't take it super serious. You know what I mean?
Same.
Um, I it's a fun hobby that I have, and it's a big part of my life, but it's not my whole life. And I have I have intentions to keep flying until I don't feel like flying anymore. And so far that I still feel like flying. So 5 years from now, I don't know. I would hope I'm still flying, and I'd hope I'm still having fun with it. Um, but yeah, there's lots of things in life, family, whatever, work, things I have to focus on, and FPV truly is the thing in my life that grounds me again, so I don't go off the edge. So in 5 years, I hope FPV is still doing that for me.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And what's like a dream spot that you want to fly?
Dream spot, dude.
Or
I
country.
want to hit those French bandos.
I knew you were gonna say it.
Hey, you and Grigo, man.
French bando.
I have a
is
feeling we're gonna hear that a
becoming
lot
theme.
on here on this podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
'cause I too want to
Yeah.
go hit French
Uh,
bandos. It looks
I
sick.
would
fun.
say just bandos in Europe in general. They're like
Yeah.
their construction practices are way different. Like everything's built out of concrete and brick and stuff, so their bandos don't rust away and have bando cancer everywhere all the time. And they're generally clean, like which is crazy. It's not. It doesn't become just some dumping ground for a bunch of bullshit. It's like
And I like
clean and
how
open.
a lot of them are taken over by like greenery, and you've got like
Yeah.
just some of the brutal architecture mixed with like the wilderness aspect of it,
Yeah.
especially the one where that guy hit that crazy like tower dive, and he's
Yeah.
coming out of the tower dive and he's damn near in a forest. It's like,
Yeah.
oh man, it just looks so good on video. I mean, to someone who's not an FPV enthusiast, they're probably like, oh, okay, but to an FPV enthusiast, you see that and you're just like, oh, dream
Yeah.
spot.
Get out
Super
fly.
jealous of all the Euro bandos.
Yeah.
Those Euro bandos are good. Oh yeah.
I'm gonna throw.
10x,
Go ahead.
10XD, or 10XD, whatever that guy's name is. I believe he's German. He flies with Nils
Yeah,
VO.
the Disney
or
bando.
OB. I don't know if it's Disney. I don't know what it is.
They
but
call it the Disney
they have-
bando. Yeah.
Okay. That place looks amazing.
I want to
yeah.
throw castles into the ring because there's a lot of crazy castle bandos too, like that are in Europe and France and stuff, and they look so
Yeah.
cool.
I guess one of the things that's definitely more achievable is I want to do some tiny whoop dives of some big tall structures that I may or may not live next to. Some good,
May or may not be.
some good,
I know-
some big
I know what-
skyscrapers.
Yeah,
See Howard?
Yeah.
you should. You totally should, man. For
There
bonus
is a
points,
local
you should
guy
go to the
who-
top of one and have someone plug in a tiny whoop outside, and then you fly up to your face, and then you dive down.
Oh, that'd be sick.
There's a few people that have done it. I know
Really?
someone that did it with a 5-inch quad and got their quad stuck
Oh
on
no.
top of the Sears Tower, and
Gosh.
and got it back, and may or may not have been added to a list somewhere.
Oh, do not revisit party.
I went
Yeah.
to.
Getting it back.
I got my tiny whoop stuck on top of my courthouse trying to do a challenge for one of Spider's streams. And so I went there and was like, "Hey guys, funny story. I've got a drone on your roof." And I'll tell you what, they were super cool. They were like, "Oh, like well, I was there with my DJI drone and fishing line and a hope and a prayer." And I was like, "Look, I've got a procedure for this. I just don't want you guys to come out here and tase me because I'm about to hover a drone over the courthouse with a string dangling from it. And he's like, no, he's like, if you want to do that, that's fine. He's like, but also like, I'm just gonna call our maintenance guy and have him go get it for you. And I was like, oh, let's do that. Yeah, let's do that. So, and then that guy, and then that guy actually emailed me, or he gave me his business card, and he was like, "Can you actually come back and like film some parts of the courthouse that we can't get to?" And I was like, "Yeah." So
That's cool.
There you go.
yeah.
So then I got a question for you guys then.
Okay.
Oh,
Have you guys ever crashed your quad in a very precarious way?
Yes.
Or in a situation? I mean, the courthouse is a good example.
yeah. There's this building in Colombia that's now it's a police station. There's this dive gap on the sides of the building. There's like these perfect from the roof down to the building, down to the bottom. Like for whatever reason, in 1973, they're like, yeah, we think square holes on each corner of the building is going to be great, and it's awesome because you can dive down it. There is you can get perfectly stuck where you can't turtle because you get stuck under this little because they have a railing up there.
Oh yeah.
And I fell perfect. I was like, bing bong, went tink, like right into it. Like, I couldn't get it down. And then I had to travel for work. Like right now, I'm 1,000, 2,000 miles away from home, like working.
Yeah.
One of the local guys went there and was like, "Oh, my damn son, flying his drone around, flew it on top of the police station," and no, it was an insurance building at the time. It's a police station now, but it was like stuck up there. There was no way to get it down at all.
Yeah.
And I was so worried. I didn't give a fuck about the drone. I was so worried about like catching the roof on fire or something, like 'cause the battery.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
yeah. But
So-
they were so cool about it. They went up there and they got no problem.
Mine was 5 years ago. There's a
Got him. We got him. The eagle is landed.
Mine was 5 years ago. This is a grain silo here where I live in Columbia City, Indiana, and there's a perfect hole in the top that comes to a gap out the side. And the problem with it, however, is that it's completely closed off in the bottom. I hit a beam and I fell down to the bottom of the silo and was
you did.
I was stuck all the way down at the bottom of the silo. I talked to the guy that owned it. He was like, "You can putz around in there and look for it, but you probably won't get to it." And the problem is there's a main silo that I was diving, and then there's 4 sections underneath of it, and they're all separated from the center. So you can get into the center, but you can't get into the external ones. I got lucky that the only section that has an access panel was the one that my quad fell into. So I was able to get it out with a pole and some rope tied to it. I made like a makeshift like noose and like roped it and pulled it out. And I told myself I know because of my stupid name, I have to go do this again, but I've been putting it off for 5 years because it's literally like lose your quad. If it I got so lucky with where it landed and how I got it back that I know that
if grain silo,
it's a grain or a corn or grain silo. Mm-hmm.
You got to be careful with that too because those are very dangerous.
Well, there's nothing inside of it.
They're filled with corn.
Yeah, there's nothing inside of it.
Yeah.
It can still contain a less than breathable atmosphere.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh yes.
I don't know if you.
I know. I have to take training on this bullshit all the time. If you're out there, don't just walk into a silo. Even if it's empty, it could still have methane or H2S in it from fermented products that you don't know have rotted in there.
Thank you,
PSA.
So
Thanks, OSHA.
Thanks, OSHA.
yeah. You know what everybody needs is a Billy Hackett in their lives. Because he is the ultimate quad retriever. Do you guys know Billy Hackett?
Yeah, how's
out of Florida?
How's he doing, by the way? Because I know
amazing.
I know he got hit pretty hard, and there was a GoFundMe for him. How's he doing? Is he getting back on his feet and squared away? And how's that going for him?
Yeah, he's getting his life back together. I should actually check up on him because I haven't I haven't been super active lately on social media and whatever.
You've been too
But I
busy
should
getting them hexes, bro.
too busy getting hexes on OTG. But yeah, last I heard, he was sorting a living situation out, trying to figure out what his next move is going to be. But yeah, that was brutal. It washed away a big chunk of his life and took away his living situation at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's an awesome dude. I love Billy Hackett, and he is. If your quad goes down somewhere, there is no way he's not. He's actually hoping people are gonna crash their quad in some weird place,
Billy,
so he can monkey his
got a
way
question.
into a situation.
Yeah.
He should
He's awesome.
he should start a business like Billy Hackett's quad retrieval service. Just shows up in an El Camino. Like, where's it at?
We are nearing the end of our time here.
Yep.
I think we've gone a little bit over on time, but DanZ, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Really appreciate it. It's been really fun hanging out and chatting. And do you have any
well, there's
anything you want
one
to say? Any shout outs?
There's one thing we got to do first.
One more thing for you.
There's one thing we got to do
it's a
first.
Surprise.
One thing we got to do first
Okay.
before we roll him out of here, and that is
What's that?
you got to tell us a joke.
Tell us a joke.
Oh shit!
You
I
have to tell
don't.
us a joke.
I don't have
Surprise!
jokes.
Listen, we
don't
gave
have
we
jokes.
listen we gave Gringo a pass on the first episode, but you watched the first episode,
Yes.
so you have no
Yeah.
excuse.
You knew it was coming.
Oh, I don't have
Tell
jokes,
us a
dude.
joke.
I'm so bad. I'm so bad with jokes. I never know how to set them up. The only one I remember is from childhood, and that is why are gorillas' nostrils so big? Because they got
I
big
don't know.
fingers.
Big fingers.
That's a good one. I've never
There you
heard
go.
that.
What are you talking about?
I've never
That-
heard
that-
that one.
Solid one.
That's good. That's good.
That's great.
I thought he
But
was
yeah,
gonna
it's-
say because they got all them teeth and no toothbrush.
There you go.
All them teeth and no toothbrush.
No, but as far as my last words is just thanks for having me on, and anybody that's out there, just one thing I wish in the world, and especially in the FPV online sphere, is like if you're on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, and you're typing out a comment when you're pissed, type it out and think about if you want to invite that shit into your world after you've gotten your frustration out. And if you still feel like you've gotten that, you want to send it out, then send it. You do you, boo boo. But, I kind of feel like people should really think before they say shit.
There's a lot of people in
I
camps.
have trouble thinking before I say shit all the time.
There's a lot of people in camps and a lot of unnecessary drama in the FPV community. I totally see that.
Yeah.
I'll say it's gotten a little bit
Or
better.
just delete Facebook.
I will say it's
Yeah.
gotten a little bit better. The whole analog versus HD situation was crazy. Like people were legit like hate commenting each other just because of the gear people were buying. It's like, screw you for flying DJI, and it was really bad for a while. And I think it's getting better, but there's definitely some isolated incidents. Like I've even experienced a few where it's like, you're just trying to be yourself, and someone's like, "Screw you, buddy," and you're like, "Whoa!" So yeah, definitely let's be nice to each
trying to
other,
have
man.
a good
We're a
time,
bunch
man.
of we're a bunch of
That's what
grown
we're here
ups.
for.
We're a bunch of grown ups playing with toys. Like, do
It
we
gets
need
better.
our parents here to tell us to get along, or can we just do it to
Yeah.
ourselves?
It gets better when you don't engage. And then if you see a particularly toxic group or situation that's consistently toxic, just walk away from it. You don't need
Just walk away.
you don't
Or if
need
you
to argue with somebody you don't know.
My
You're not
favorite-
going to gain anything from it.
My favorite thing to do on like some of the ridiculous comments on like my YouTube channel, like I made a section in my Discord called the pin of shame. Like whenever someone types something crazy out, I pin it as like the pinned comment, and then you type, all you gotta do, you should try it out there, try it at home. Next time someone says something weird, just type okay, and that's it. Just okay.
Yeah.
Hit him with
Okay.
Nice try.
Just hit him with the okay.
Nice try.
And
NT.
I guarantee you they'll either stop or they'll give you more entertainment. But just okay is all you need to do. But I think that's it. I had really fun. I have to go to the beer store and I got to go eat some real dinner because the hotel dinner sucked ass. So.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yes, thank you for coming, DanZ. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Awesome.
And
I had a blast.
That's gonna...
happy ripping, guys. Hopefully, we all get a chance to meet up at some point in the future, and
hopefully next.
I'm not too far away from you, so.
Well, I'm secretly building an FPV park in my neighbor's backyard. He doesn't know about it yet, but we'll get there, and then you guys will all be invited. So, thank you for coming on.
Hell yeah. All right.
We'll see you guys in the next one.
See everyone
until then.
Next week, we'll see you.
Everybody,
see you then.
Everybody do the thing. Everybody do the thing where they're like, woo.
Poop.
Yeah.
Yo, we flying through the internet. We got low battery, but we ain't landing yet. Spider Sugar, wanting to try. We interview guests while they rip the sky. Drones, jokes, and special guests. Power loops, all spins, cash and checks. We doing Rubik's Cubes like we riding a bike. This is the Land Now podcast, and I'm dropping the mic.